Hello and good day everyone. I am Iver, Olin and Sones, a sophomore student taking Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English under the College of Education at the University of Batangas. For today, I am going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper and later on to identify and discuss the literary terms and devices that is used or shown in the story. The Ant and the Grasshopper. Once upon a time, in the beautiful spring, a grasshopper danced and was swinging in the field and was singing his spring song. He saw an ant and asked her what is she doing. The ant told the grasshopper that she is gathering some food and was building a shelter. The grasshopper laughed and teased her. The grasshopper told the ant, "This is spring now, it's the time to enjoy." But the ant ignored him and continued her work as she was hardworking. A few days later, it started raining heavily. The whole jungle became the swamp. There was no food available anywhere. So the helpless grasshopper came to the ant's shelter and pleaded, "Oh dear ant, please give me shelter and something to eat." Now the grasshopper had understood why the ant was working so hard in the spring. The ant finally offered him food and shelter. Now the grasshopper had realized the value of hard work. The end. Now, we are going to discuss the literary terms and devices in the story. First is the character. A character is a person, animal, being, creature, or thing in a story. Writers use characters to perform the actions and speak dialogue, moving the story along a plot line. In our story, the characters are the ant and the grasshopper. Next is the setting. The setting is the time and place or the when and where the story happened. In our story, it happened at the jungle during spring season and during rainy season. The conflict. The conflict is the central problem around which a story revolves. There are two types of conflict that can occur. First is the internal conflict, which occurs within a person or a character. And next is the external conflict, which occurs between a person and another person or within a machine, a nature, or society. The conflict that happened in our story is the external conflict, which is the heavy rain. Next is the plot. The plot is the series of events that make up the story. First is the exposition. It is the part where it allows the readers to understand where the story is taking place and who's in it. The scenarios here expose the characters and the situation. It was mentioned that there was the grasshopper and the ant. Next is the rising action. The rising action is a related series of incidents in a literary plot that build toward the point of greatest interest, which is the climax. The situation here showed that the grasshopper only laughed the ant of what the ant is doing or working with when it is still spring season. The climax, this is the part of the story where the problem happened. In this scenario, it was showed that the whole jungle became the swamp because of the heavy rain and there was no food everywhere. We might think of where are the two characters and how are they doing at this time. Here comes the exciting part. Let us see if the ant will be able to give help to the grasshopper who laughed at her during spring season while she is working. The grasshopper asked help from the ant. This is already the falling action. The falling action is the part where it leads to the resolution of the problem or the conflict that occurred. Will the ant help him? The grasshopper realized why the ant was hard working during the spring season. But will the ant will be able to help him even he laughed at her during the spring. Yes, the ant finally offered him food and shelter. And the resolution, this is the denouement or how the story ends. For the ending of the story, the grasshopper learned the value of hard work, that he should be like the ant who work hard to prepare for the future calamities that might happen. Foreshadowing, these are the clues in the text that hint as to things that will happen later in the plot. In this story, it is the part where the grasshopper laughed to the ant. We might think of why the story highlighted or showed the part that the grasshopper laughed to the ant while the ant was just working. Flashback, we can connect to the flashback the time that the grasshopper remember why the ant is working during spring season. And so, the grasshopper had understood why the ant was working so hard in the spring, because it is for preparation for the rainy season. Next is the point of view or the POV. This story was narrated using the third person point of view. The narrator uses names of characters such as the ant and the grasshopper and pronouns like he, him, she, her, they, and them. The speaker is the person delivering the story. The speaker in the story can be the narrator and the characters, which are the ant and the grasshopper, who delivered some lines or converse with each other. Imagery. This is a set of mental pictures or images. It is the use of vivid or figurative language to represent objects, actions, or ideas. The story used expressions such as in the beautiful spring and it started raining heavily, the whole jungle became the swamp, to represent the situation in the setting of the story. Next is the mood. The mood of the story can be determined on the lines mentioned on the imagery and the lines on the story, such as a grasshopper danced and was swinging in the field and was singing his spring song, or the lines delivered by the character such as this is spring now, it's the time to enjoy, which shows happiness to the setting. In addition, the line, oh dear aunt, please give me shelter and something to eat, which shows pity to the grasshopper. Next is the theme. In this story, the underlying focus is when the time that the grasshopper only laughed at what ant is doing work during springtime, but he didn't know that this what he laughed about will be the one who to help him to survive during the time he struggled for the calamity. The lesson is don't mess with other people. We might need each other in the future. A theme is something the writer wants the reader to discover. Author's purpose, it is the reason an author decides to write about a specific topic. The author's purpose here is to teach a moral lesson for the reader, especially for the children. Author's style, the style used by the author is creative and easy to understand because mainly the story is made for the children and for the kids. And lastly, the sequence. The sequence of the story is organized to where it started exposing the characters and the possible problem, the most exciting part of the story, and the problem up to the solution to the problem, and the conclusion or the denouement. Thank you, have a nice day, and keep safe everyone.